Well, first of all, let me say thank you to the many organizations and human rights advocates for organizing this rally this afternoon. It is so important, and it is great to see the entire community of advocates and dissidents come together to send a unified message to China and to the world. There are many here today whose lives were profoundly changed by the events in China 30 years ago. We welcome you especially. We honor your courage then and in the years since to keep fighting for human rights and democratic reform in China. You will be pleased to know that I was just on the House floor where we had a great debate on a resolution that will be voted on later today to remember the victims of the Tiananmen Square Massacre and to call on the Chinese government to respect human rights. I expect we'll have an overwhelming vote when we vote later this afternoon. And if we do, and I trust we will, that vote shows that the American people stand on the side of those seeking truth about Tiananmen Square. 30 years this week, an estimated 1 million Chinese students, workers, and citizens joined the peaceful protests in Tiananmen Square and in over 400 cities throughout China. We remember with sadness and outrage the crackdown that followed as the so-called People's Liberation Army was unleashed on its own people. On this 30th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre, let me be clear. We stand with the students, the workers, and the citizens who so bravely called for change in China in 1989. We stand with the Tiananmen mothers in their simple request to mourn their children publicly and have a full accounting of the victims. We stand with thousands of political and religious prisoners of conscience who are detained or imprisoned for exercising the very human rights guaranteed by China's constitution and international law. And we stand with the Uyghur people and the Turkic Muslims who are enduring a slow-motion Tiananmen and may be victims of crimes against humanity. We stand with the people of Tibet, whose cultural and religious practices are so tightly controlled that over 150 Tibetans have taken the unimaginable step of setting themselves on fire to draw attention to the repression there. And we stand with the people of Hong Kong, who are pushing back to preserve their autonomy even as a new proposed extradition law could endanger the lives of so many who are critical of the Chinese government's policies. So we stand with the students, the workers, the environmentalists, the lawyers, the citizen journalists, and bloggers, the women's movement, the migrants, the families, the artists, the LGBTQ community, and indeed all the people of China. We know the spirit of Tiananmen is still alive and well, and we know because China's leaders demonstrate their fear of it every day with their security cameras, their censorship, detention centers, and obsession with preventing the people of China from learning the truth. If the survivors of Tiananmen Square think they were somehow defeated, just look at the impact the very idea of remembering those events has had on the Chinese government. Think of the time and the energy and resources the Chinese government is expending on denial even now, 30 years after the fact. That's power, the power of ideas, the power of people coming together, the power of people remembering the truth. And no censorship, no tanks, no guns can stand against the firepower of the memory, the idea, the reality of Tiananmen Square. Thank you very much.